Hi, could you just state your name and your age and where you go to school?
Hi, I'm Gianna. I am 20 years old and I go to Loyola University, Maryland.
Hi, Gianna. Thanks for helping me out. So I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Do you use social media?
Yes, I do.
How often would you say that you use social media?
Every day, probably every hour.
When do you typically use social media?
I guess I use it kind of as something to do in between doing schoolwork or in my free time. Now that I have an iPhone with access to Facebook and Twitter, I look at it a lot more often, like when I'm walking places, which isn't necessarily a good thing. And then, so downtime and also in between doing schoolwork, or if I kind of just need something to like clear my mind or to not think for a minute, I'll go onto a social media kind of site to pass the time.
So you said you use your phone. Do you use any other ways to access it?
So yeah, I use my phone and my laptop. That's probably it.
Okay. What type of sites do you usually go on? Like what type of social media platforms are you a fan of?
I use Facebook and Twitter. That's probably it. Haven't hopped onto the Pinterest bandwagon yet.
Okay. So what type of things, when you use social media, like what type of things do you look at when you're on like the Facebook page, or if you read any blogs or things like that? Like what type of like genres or things that you like to look at?
Anything really related to like running, working out, healthy living, food. I guess I should have said that I do read a lot of blogs. I don't know if you're considering that as... Okay, so I read a lot of blogs. And to answer your question, they are pretty much all, they're all healthy living or recipe blogs. And even on Twitter, I would say a lot of the things I read on there, I don't post on Twitter as much, like I don't tweet so much myself as much as I just like to read different things that, like, for example, I follow Runner's World and they post like really good articles that I like to read. Or I follow the bloggers whose blogs I read, and they'll post some funny, just pointless things, but also I like to read different information that they share on there. So, yeah, running, healthy living, food, main areas.
So, my next question is, why do you look at these things? But it seems pretty obvious that you look at them because you're interested in these subjects?
Yeah, they're my hobbies and interests. I like to learn about like health and nutrition and food and stuff like that. That's stuff that I'm interested in. But also, it's just kind of a cool community thing. I like to read the blogs because it's people who are interested in the same things I'm interested in, talking about different races or events that they've run in, or so it's, and also posting different recipes, things that I could potentially be making myself, or foods that I enjoy myself. So it's sort of like a community thing, and I like learn from what I read.
So when you read like recipes on the blogs, or you read something that Runner's World posts, and let's just say someone posts an amazing half marathon time that they got, like how does that make you feel when you read it, like about yourself?
It depends. I would say that like if I really identify with that person or feel like I kind of have sort of like a relationship with them through their blog, then I find that I'm like happy for them. But I definitely have experienced like feelings of like envy, which is kind of silly, but you know, just about like dumb things, maybe like about a race time or some sort of like goal in that way. And it just kind of makes you feel like a little bit like, oh man, like I wish I did that, or I just had a really crappy race time, something like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I would say that those aren't the majority of the feelings I get, but it definitely does happen. The same way it would happen, though, in real life if I was talking to someone who, you know, expressed those sort of things. I could feel the same way.
So would you use that as more of a positive? Would you use that as a source of motivation, or would that how would you use those feelings?
I would say most of the time, I'm not going to say 100% of the time, but I think most of the time that's sort of motivation. Like, I appreciate that people are like being honest and sharing things, because I think what balances it out is that different people on Twitter or blogs aren't always, at least the ones I follow, aren't always saying all these great things about themselves and their lives. They're real, so they also share, you know, bad days they have, struggles they have, bad runs that they have, bad races they have. So they're real people too, and I think that's what kind of motivates me to see, like, seeing their progress and seeing them stick to a goal and, like, really achieving it. Yeah, I might feel a little envious at first, but ultimately I think it's motivation. And also they offer a lot of good, like, advice and tips and, you know, different facts and things like that. So it's tools that I can use to improve myself and, like, use that as motivation. So
All right, thanks, Gianna, for helping me out.
no problem.